There's one thing that architect or photographer are so obsessed about, that nerd about, that we dream about. And this thing is tilt shift lenses. We have two new tilt shift lens announcements today. We have the 17 millimeter mirrorless tilt shift lens from Laowa here, and we have the 35 millimeter tilt shift lens. The unique thing about these lenses is that you can attach them directly. No need for more adapters. And isn't it nice? So before anything, I'm Arturo. I'm running the shifter community, and I would appreciate if you can subscribe to the channel, like this video, and join our Facebook group, Shifter.com, or our Instagram account. We post things on the daily. Thank you guys for being a part of the community. Thank you for sharing your behind the scenes every day. This is a really exciting episode. We're gonna review these lenses in depth. We're gonna shoot photos with it. And the thing that you guys are gonna like is that you're gonna be able to download sample files. I know that you guys like pixel peeping, downloading a raw file, opening in Lightroom or Capture One or Photoshop, and just zooming in, check if it's sharp, if it has chromatic aberration. That's you guys droll about it. So I know that we photographers sometimes we are our worst enemies because in the real life it doesn't matter. But that's it. Okay. Don't bash me in the comment. This is just my opinion. But you guys are going to be able to download raw sample files in the description below. So on different apertures, different settings, different shift settings. What is a shift lens? A shift lens is a lens that you can shift in parallel to the camera. So I can shift the lens compared to the camera, and you might say, "Oh, what is this for?" The ones that if you're not used to architecture photography, this lens is very useful for architecture, interior, hospitality, even landscape photography and filmmaking, because you can you have greater perspective control, meaning that you can frame the final image, and especially when working with clients, they can see how the final image is going to be. This is very practical for shooting tall buildings or different interior scenes where you have to shift the lens. Basically, you guys are going to see how I use them in the field. And yeah, the first impressions right away when I unboxed these lenses 5 minutes ago is that I'm very impressed. The 17 millimeter doesn't have a bulbous front element. Previous versions of previous alternatives of this lens, like this is the industry standard when it comes to a wide angle tilt shift lenses, the Canon 17 millimeter f4 tilt shift lens. It has a massive bulbous element, and you can attach filters. So in this new Laowa, you can attach filters. That's the first thing that impressed me right away when I opened it on the box. So same story with the Laowa 15 millimeter tilt shift lens. And these lenses, by the way, they're DSLR lenses. Here they're with the adapter, and this lens we don't need any adapter. And the only difference that got me like that surprised me right out of the box is that they both have a tripod collar, so you can attach them directly to the tripod. So this way, the weight distribution is better. Uh, we're gonna see. Let's see if they're better than my lenses. Let's see how they perform. Another thing, guys, is that the construction is so good. It's all metal. You get what you pay for. Oh, I feel we shouldn't pay $2,000 for a lens that is just be plastic. I'm not saying a Canon lens is not well built, but when you hold one of these lenses, it's all metal, and the focus mechanism is super well dampened. Same with the aperture. It just, yeah. So they made these lenses in different mirrorless mounts. This is a Canon RF mount, but they also make it in Sony E, Leica L, Nikon Z, and even Fuji GFX medium format. I don't know if they make it in Hasselblad X, but it's interesting. These lenses can shift up to 12 millimeters. Same with this Canon. And yeah, we're gonna see how it works. Bada bing, bada boom. See you in the other side. All right, so here we are. I'm about to test these lenses and I'm about to shoot with them. But before anything, I would just want to warn that this is not going to be the most fancy shoot. This is not a shoot for a client. This is just a shoot that is meant to be for testing purposes. I'm going to be shooting with both lenses, and I especially want to measure lens distortion, sharpness, and flaring, because those are aspects that are very important for us as a working architect photographers. I'm aware that maybe some filmmakers, they're also watching here, but for the film industry, there are usually other values that are more important when it comes to lenses. Focus roll-off, a bokeh, character, and different things, a texture that we don't necessarily gonna dig deep in here, because there are other things that are more important when it comes to these lenses, and they're more related to this, as I said. And I'm gonna test these lenses with the with my full frame Canon R1. I'm gonna be shooting them at f11. That's, I think, the average f-stop that people use. And I'm gonna be shooting it at ISO 100, which is gonna be switching, toggling between different shutter speeds. And we're not gonna touch the ISO, we're not gonna touch the aperture, and let's see how they perform. Oh, talking about video, we have a very interesting course. Feel free to check it out in the description below, where you're going to be able to learn all the techniques that we know about architecture filmmaking. It's a very comprehensive 25-hour course. We shoot different projects. We do the post-production, color grading, pre-production, client advice, and everything that you need to know how to land and execute on real estate, interior, and architecture film. So feel free to check it out, because I think it's a great value for our community. All right, so I'm gonna mount the lens to the tripod for the first time. And let's see if it's Arca Swiss compatible. Oh yeah, good, bingo. 1 point for the Laowa. We are on a good start. It's easier to rotate the camera, and also the weight distribution is better. I'm gonna start with the 17 millimeter. We're gonna try to find some angles that make sense. 17 millimeter is not the lens that I use the most. If looking at my catalog, I would say the lens that I use the most when it comes to photographing spaces, it would be the 24, the 35, and even the 50. 17 is just for emergencies when you don't have space and you have to capture a whole room or a hero shot or a tall building. That way, when the 17 millimeter shift lens comes very handy. I forgot to say, I also want to say that we're not going to be testing the tilt functionality of these lenses, because this is not very important for our job. Tilting is more for the selective blur. We can blur a part of the image by tilting the lens, or the tilt functionality is also very useful for product photography, and we can have more depth of field, especially when shooting small things and like macro shots with watches, jewelry, on other products, and you gain more. Everything is in focus when you know how to tilt the lens for that purpose. But we're just going to be touching the shift functionality. That's what is useful for a job. But I think I found a good angle. We're going to shoot an overall horizontal frame with the 70 millimeter lens. We're going to shoot this room, and I think it's going to be a good example here. We're gonna have different things going on. We have the lights on the ceiling. We're gonna see how high contrast situations affect on the lens. We're gonna determine if we're gonna be able to see if the coatings of the lens, they're good, because if the lens is not good, sometimes we're gonna have some ghosting in high contrast situation, like this ceiling lights here. and we also have things more in the foreground and more in the background, and that is going to help us to check sharpness overall. I'm not gonna focus on infinity. We're rarely gonna be focusing on infinity when shooting wide architecture shots. We wouldn't be shooting at around 5 or 3 meter mark, because that's closer to the hyperfocal distance. We wanna make sure that we have as much as possible in focus. And if we focus at infinity, the subjects in the foreground, they're closer to the camera, they're not going to be in focus. So by focusing on, it depends on the focal length, on the resolution of the camera, but in practical terms, around 3 or 5 meter. Now what I'm doing, I'm recording the live view of the camera, so you guys can see the total coverage that this lens have. And this is a diagonal shift. You can see the whole image circle of the lens. And so I'm gonna switch to the 17mm lens. This is a lens that I like so much, but I'm gonna have to put the adapter because it's not a mirrorless lens as this one. This one you can attach it directly to the camera. All right, guys, so I just changed the lens to the to the Canon 17mm tilt shift lens. And before I continue, I just came into the realization that the Laowa lens doesn't stay. The shift, when you shift the lens, doesn't stay. And that's something I really like about these Canon lenses. And I wish the Laowa had it, and I don't have it. And I take it for granted, but it's just a very useful feature, because how tilt shift lenses work, when you shift the lens mechanism to any of the directions, and you gotta lock it here, right? For more, and it stays more in place, it's more secure, right? But if you don't unlock it, meaning when you're shifting up and down or to the sides and you're not sure how your shot is gonna end up being, you don't need to lock it in the meantime, right? You just checking around, and you don't have to be with two hands like locking in so quickly. So with the Laowa lens that I was using in the previous shot, I don't like that. You have to be locking it all the time because it doesn't stay. You see this lens? You just, when you're moving to different directions, it just stays. And that's a really cool feature. All right. So now let's put this guy to the mix. This is a Laowa 15mm shift lens, and it's a great lens. It's very sharp, very lightweight, even lighter than the Canon 17mm tilt shift lens. It has a really good price point, and it doesn't have the tilt mechanism, but that doesn't matter for us. I want to show a little trick that I just remember. These lenses, the Laowa lenses, they're full manual, right? But I always wish that they had contacts, because I don't know the focal length when I am editing in post-production. I don't remember the focal length because it doesn't communicate with the camera, or in this case with the camera, the electronics on the camera adapter. So there's no way to know the I'm not asking about the aperture, but at least the focal length, right? And I found Andre, I think it's called Andre, from Ukraine on eBay. And this is a chip that you add to manual lenses, and it's really helpful not only to know the focal length, but the reason I bought it is because when working with video, I like the camera to identify the focal length immediately. I don't want to input it on the camera menu, because when working with internal IBIS or digital stabilizer, I wanted to detect it immediately, so it compensates with the right stabilization for the specific lens. I'm gonna shoot another one with a 17 before we go to the 35. I'm gonna shoot one here with this wall that has straight lines, so I think it's gonna be a good test for distortion. I'm gonna shoot another shot with the 17s and also the 15, and I think this is gonna be a good test for distortion. I have owned the 17mm Canon tilt shift lens for a long time, and it's been funny because I was trying to find some situations where with these lights on the ceiling, when it flares on the image, because sometimes it happens. I realize in certain situations when I shoot in the dark retail stores or something like that, they have these spotlights on the ceiling, and I was trying to find some situation where it flares to illustrate that issue, and to compare to the other lenses. And I'm not seeing, I don't have any flaring now, so that just tells how good these lenses are. And I tried with the rest of the lenses, I couldn't find any flare from the ceiling lights or anything. So this is the moment of truth. I know that most of you guys are here to see the comparison between the 35 and the 24mm Canon tilt shift lens version 2 with a 1.4x teleconverter. This combination, and here is the Canon EF to RF adapter. This combination is roughly 35mm equivalent, although it's not a real 35mm lens, but it's a pretty good combo. It's not perfect. The 24mm lens itself performs better than the lens without the teleconverter, because this teleconverter was designed more for telephoto use, but it's a pretty decent solution, and most of us, we don't have any problem about it. But the reason we use it is because nor Canon or Nikon or any other brand has a modern 35mm lens, so that's why this lens is very exciting. And we're gonna see the moment of truth now. We're gonna see how does it compare to this, because one thing, when I opened the box of this lens, I said my first impression, not with the 17, but with this one, I thought, oh, this is very heavy. This is very big, heavy, not clunky, but it's a very important lens. The size is very important, I guess, because it's 2.8, it's macro, I don't know. But now I realize this DSLR tilt shift Canon lens, the Canon is even a bit longer. I think the Laowa is still a bit heavier, slightly bit more. But guys, look at that. I mean, and around 2 years ago, I didn't have any problem with this. I like this lens so much, but I bought this size Contax 35mm f2.8 shift lens. Before buying it, I thought it wouldn't perform so well because it's a lens from the 90s, I think, or 80s. I think it's from the 90s. And I thought, I don't know, maybe it's a bit old. It's not as sharp. It's gonna flare more. It's not gonna perform. It's gonna have chromatic aberration. But to my surprise, I'm very happy with this lens. I heard some people that they're not happy with theirs. Maybe they don't have a good copy. I don't know. But this lens, for me, is one of the lenses that I use the most. I don't recommend this lens for medium format. I don't think it covers much, but for full frame use, it is so good. It doesn't have 12mm of shift range, but it has 10, but 10 is more than enough in full frame. This mount adapter lives on my camera. I never touch it. I'm putting in more in and out today because I'm swapping between adapted lenses and mirrorless lenses. It's a bit, you know, it's an extra step to put the extender all the time when you want to go 35. And also for video, this lens is a 3.5, but when you put this adapter, it loses like a stop of light, so it's like a 4 point something or f5 or something like that. and in some situation is not bright enough for video. By the way, the reason I like the 35mm is because I would say similar to the human eyes point of view. I would say I think it's similar. So it's wide, but it's not so wide. It's natural and it's more relaxed. And when the space allows for a 35, that's perfect. You know, sometimes when we're so crammed, we need to put the 24 or we need to put the 17. But this is great that we have space here. We have room to test this lens, and we're gonna do a 1-point perspective of this room. I'm about to shoot the same scene with the Canon 24mm and the 1.4x extender. Just realized that because of the extender, the shift range, it goes farther because it multiplies by 1.4. Not only the focal length multiply, but also the apparent shift that you have, the farthest that you can go. So it would be 12 by 1.4. The equivalent shift with this extender is 16.8. So 16.8 versus 12 is quite a bit of a difference. I'm finally gonna put the size 35mm shift lens. So install a Dandelion electronic adapter here. This one is an actual adapter. I didn't glue it in the lens because this is not EF. This is CY mount. At this point, I've done enough side-by-side comparisons. I think I'm just gonna do one more with the tiles to see the distortion with these lenses, but that's gonna be all. And then we're gonna go to the computer and we're gonna compare side-by-side each of the samples. All right, so now we're at the computer and it took me a while to get where I am now. I put all the raw files for you guys to download, here. I separated in different subfolders. This is the Laowa 17, unshifted, shifted up, shifted down, shifted to the left, shifted to the right, so different positions and 2 photos. We also have the Canon 17, same story, the Laowa 15. And then we have the other comparison that is the Laowa 35mm shift to the same different shift positions, unshifted, and 2 different pictures. The 24mm with the extender. And finally, we have the 35mm size shift lens here. All of these raw files, they are untouched and edited, and you guys can tweak as you want. And I try my best to replicate the same scene on each lens, but they don't, it's hard to match them perfectly. I try my best. We also have another, so this is the raw files, and we also have another layer, another folder here. And in this folder, what I basically did is some of the raw files, I edited them lightly, just in one layer. This is not a final image, it's just one layer. I would do way more than that on a regular job, on a regular photo. But what I did is, I'm gonna open one and you guys are gonna be able to see it. So we're in Photoshop now. And I renamed not only the file names, this is 17 and 15. So we have the 17s and the 15. But also each layer here, when you open it in Photoshop, this is a PSD file, a Photoshop file. Every layer, it says the lens that is be taken with, and also the shifting position. This is Laowa 17 unshifted, and then we go to the other layer, Canon 17 unshifted, and then the other layer, this is the Canon 15 unshifters. We have the Laowa 17 here. We're gonna go, for example, to the center of the frame here. Right away, I can tell that this lens is very sharp, corner to corner. You can see the Laowa 17. It looks very sharp, corner to corner. Remember, guys, this is f11, the optimal f-stop. So we're gonna compare it to the 17, and yeah, it's not day and night, but the 17 Laowa is a bit sharper. It's a tad sharper. I can tell already. Yeah. So what about this corner here, this exit sign? I can tell more here. Yeah. The Laowa is a bit sharper, but again, it's not like. Also, I see that the Canon has a bit more chromatic aberration. You can see here in the edge, and the Laowa doesn't have. But yeah. And now let's take a look at the 15. Let's compare it to the Laowa 17 shift. So we're gonna compare the Laowa 17mm shift to the Laowa 15mm shift in the unshift position. Let's see what we can see. Oh, this is a tricky one, but because the Laowa is wider, so yeah, the Laowa is definitely sharper. The 15 has a bit more of chromatic aberration, but again, it's not day and night. And now let's compare the Canon 17 to the Laowa 15. Actually, these lenses look pretty comparable. They're pretty comparable when it comes to sharpness. Yeah, I don't see major differences. All right, so we are at the second image here. This is the same space, but is shifted to the maximum to the left. The Laowa 17 is 12 millimeters. The Canon is also 12 millimeters to the left, and the Laowa 15, I think, is 11 or something. But again, it's wider. So let's first check the 17 versus the Laowa 17 versus the Canon 17. The Laowa is still winning here. You see, this is Canon, this is Laowa. Yeah, it's a bit sharper. Maybe it's even more apparent with on higher resolution sensors. So yeah, the Laowa on this area, on this region of the image is very comparable. Even the Canon maybe is a bit sharper, but when we go to the very edges, I can tell that the Laowa is sharper. Let's see distortion. So this is the Laowa 17. Let's look for barrel distortion. I think it's called barrel distortion. This Canon 17 is a bit more, I would say. Let's drop a guide here. Maybe the Canon 17 is a bit more rectilinear. The Laowa 17, when shifted to the side, it distorts a tiny bit more. This is shift up 12 millimeters. So we have, this is Laowa 17 and this is Canon 17. So let's see, we can see differences if we can. Yeah, again, for example, here you can see here in this edge, the Laowa has the edge. The Laowa 17 is sharper than the Canon 17, a full shift. This is full shift up. Let's go to the 35 now. This is, I think it's going to be more exciting, and there are more variables here. So this is the 35 Laowa. This lens is very sharp. Let's go to this one, for example. This is going to be more telling because this is shifted and we have straight lines here. I want to point that I don't know if you guys remember when we were shooting on the field, I indicated that this is the Laowa 35 shifted 12 millimeters up. And this is the Canon 24 millimeter with the 1.4x extender also shift 12 millimeters up, all the way up. Why are we seeing a difference in the frame here? Because as I said, the Canon with the extender, you can shift more. It's equivalent to 16.8. I'm excited to figure out this one because this is going to be very telling. So we're going to do Laowa 35, this layer here on top, versus Canon 24 millimeter shift lens, tilt shift lens with a 1.4x extender. So the Laowa is sharper. It's a bit sharper, not day and night, but it's sharper. What about here? Yeah, the Laowa is sharper, but again, it's not day and night. Yeah, this Laowa lens is very sharp, very sharp. Yeah. What about here in this plan? It's so sharp. But it's not bad on the Canon. Yeah. And what about distortion? Because, well, before going to distortion, let's go to Laowa 35 versus size 35 shift lens. Oh, the size is very sharp, huh? Maybe more than the Canon with the extender. Maybe the Laowa still has the edge, but the Canon is not, the size is not joke, huh? Yeah. All right, let's see here in this region of the frame. Yeah, I mean, the size has a bit more of chromatic aberration, nothing dramatic, but very, very similar, folks. Yeah, just the Canon's, the Laowa was a bit sharper, but very similar. Let's do Canon versus size now. Size when it comes to sharpness. This is Canon 24 with the 1.4x extender, and this is Laowa. Sorry, this is size 35. The size 35 mil is sharper than the Canon. It maybe has a bit more chromatic aberration, but I can tell it's a bit sharper. So that's good news. What about distortion? I'm curious about this one. I don't know actually, huh? I don't know about the distortion because let's try to maybe we can align these layers a bit better. Let's perform the auto align layer tool again and see. I would say it's hard to tell. I think actually I don't know, huh? Maybe because the Laowa 35 it looks like it distorts like this, and the Canon distorts the other way. It's a different type of distortion. They're equivalent. They're comparable, I would say. But yeah, the Laowa is a bit sharper, and let's do Laowa 35 versus size when it comes to distortion. And in this case, I can tell that the size distorts a bit more. I don't see that it's a complicated distortion. It's very hard to correct, but allow us to be better. And then let's do Canon versus size on this region here, for example. Yeah, the size, the car size lens distorts a bit more. So, what is my opinion about these lenses? These lenses are great. These lenses are sharp. The operation is great, the mechanics, the build quality. I love the fact that they have a full lens lineup. They have these two, but also the 55 and the 100. They just need a 24 now and we're good to go. This is a very unique proposition because there's not any other mirrorless lens, tilt shift lens lineup in the market right now. Canon has other focal lengths like zoom lenses, prime lenses, normal ones, but they don't have this. Same with Nikon, same with Sony. They're not thinking about us that shoot architecture and interiors. You don't need any adapter, you can use them directly. I'm gonna be honest, it's a bit boring to me to review these lenses because they're all good. My Canon lenses are good, these are also good, even better, but it just, all lenses are good these days. I think you should pick the ones that you like. You should pick the ones that you feel comfortable with, the ones that give you good vibe. Although these lenses are around $1,000 cheaper, each of the lenses is $1,000 cheaper than the Canon or Nikon variants, I wouldn't choose them for that. I would choose them, as I said, because they're mirrorless lens designs. Because in the end of the day, you're gonna make your money back if you're a working professional. So I love them. I'm not gonna switch to these lenses because I like using DSLR lenses. Most of my works are video works, and I like having rear filter adapters on my cameras, and that's something that is not possible with these mirrorless lenses. But they're great, and I think they appeal to so many people, and they're amazing. The only deal breaker for me with these lenses, or the thing that really annoys me, is the fact that the shift mechanism has to be locked every time. You cannot leave it like loose while you're composing the shot. When you're shifting around trying to decide your final frame, it just drops, and that's something that breaks the flow a bit. You just have to be thinking about locking the shift mechanism of all the time, and that's something that they should think about improving. Even their own 15mm shift lens, or the Laowa 12 to 24mm lens I review, it doesn't exhibit this problem. Let me know what would you like to see from Laowa. Laowa is a crazy lens company. They have really crazy lens designs. They have these mirrorless tilt shift lenses that are unique in the market. They have a 9mm full frame lens. They have anamorphic lenses, zoom anamorphic lenses. They have probe lenses that are great for products, like tilt shift zoom lenses that like the 12 to 24. It's insane. But if you guys let me tell you what I would like to see from them, it's first a 35mm, something like this, a 35mm shift lens. I don't need the tilt. Don't give me the tilt. We architect, the photographer, we don't care about this. So 35mm shift lens, please, smaller than this. I don't need 2.8. I don't need macro. I don't need the tilt. Make it smaller. The price is fine, but please make it smaller with similar optics. That would be ideal for me. I like my contacts, but I would like it to shift instead of 10, 12 or 15mm. That would be awesome, and a bit less distortion. But I like my size contacts 35mm lens. But that would be something amazing. And what it would be even more amazing, it's a full frame shift zoom lens, something like the equivalent to the 12 to 24 lens that they make, the tilt shift lens, the zoom lens that they make for APS-C. I don't know, something like an 18 to 40. That would be amazing. Even if it's not a DSLR lens, even if it's a mirrorless lens design, that lens would sell so well. Even if it's 5.6 or even f8. For photography, you're gonna use it on a tripod. That would be an amazing lens, because there are some situations where speed is king and you wanna change different focal lengths, and things for like real estate, for example. But you already have the 12 to 24, and APS-C, to be honest, is more than enough for real estate. So remember, you guys have the raw sample files in the description below, and please follow us on Instagram. Make sure to join the Facebook group. We have a very active community, and thank you for watching. And let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions about it. And thank you for watching, and thank you for subscribing and all this YouTuber thing. Thank you.